assembly language programming, that is a processor independent language. Okay, so now we are going to discuss processor dependent language. So now we are going to discuss about high level language based development. Okay, so when you talk about high level language, so this is basically, this particular language is supported by cross compiler. So what this particular cross compiler is going to do is the next question. So when you start talking about your cross compiler, the cross compiler is going to convert the application which has been developed in a high level language to target processor specific language. So your it is the cross compiler which you are going to use there. So that is basically used to convert your develop high level language to target processor specific assembly code. So now whatever the code you are going to convert, so that is when you are converting that particular code, so that particular code can be used for the target processor and can be used for your embedded firmware development. So now in this particular processor independent language, when you take, so the most commonly, that is 80% of the 80% of the time, so whichever the embedded company they are, which are there in the world, so most of the embedded companies is going to make use of the C programming only. So your C itself they are going to make use of. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So now, as I told you that most of the times they are going to make use of the C programming only. So for building the embedded firmware application, so that since that particular language is portable across all the platform. So since C is a well-defined and it's a processor-oriented languages, and it is going to provide you the extensive cross-platform development tools also. So for that particular reason, your cross compiler is normally written in the C programming or C compiler. Normally, will make use of the C compiler itself. So now, in the recent days, many compilers also coming out. So with the normal in the cross compiler, which they are going to coming out in the recent days, or C++. Okay. So now there, when you are going to convert your develop application for your embedded firmware, so the various steps are to be involved in high level language based firmware development. So it is not same as that of the assembly language development program. So except the conversion of your source file written in high level language to object file is done by a cross compiler. So whereas in assembly language used, so if you take your normal high level language, what are the different process it is going to having? So the various process involved in conversion of the program written in high level language to corresponding machine languages shown below. So how it is going to be written? So you can see it here. So initially you are going to have the source file. So okay, so initially you are going to have the source file. So you are going to have source file one, and you are going to have the source file two, and you are going to have the source file three. So all these files which have been written in normal editor. So by using the cross compiler, okay, by using the cross compiler, you are going to generate the object code. Okay, so if we take the source file 2, so with the help of the source file 2, with the help of the compiler, I'm going to develop the object file 2. So next, once you have developed the different object files with the different source file, okay, so different source file. So what I'm going to do, so here you can see it here. Uh, yeah, they are linked together. So this object file 1 and object file 2 are linked together with the help of the, so if I take this one, object file 1, object file 2, which are going to have. So those are linked together, okay, using the linker. So linker is used to link the object file. Okay, so linker is mainly used to link the different object files, and these object files, which are the necessary library files is required. for that particular object file to run, or that particular function which have been defined, if it has to run. So what are the necessary library files which you require? So that will be specified in the library files. So once it is defined in the library files, with the help of the linker, it is going to combine all the objects code. By having all the objects codes, it is going to convert to the absolute object file. It is going to convert to the absolute object file. Once after developing the absolute object file, that is nothing but the combination of all the objects files. So that's nothing but your object file is nothing but combination of all objects file with libraries. Okay, all object files with libraries plus libraries you are going to have. Okay, so once you have this one, so next you are going to using this particular object file, you are going to convert that particular object file into exa file. So next you are going to have the exa file converter. So you're going to have the exa file converter. Okay, so the exa file converter you are going to have. Once you have the exa file converter, so that will then will be generated to machine code. Okay, that in turn will be generated to machine code format. Okay, that's how your steps are involved when you are converting your high level language to low level language. So low level language is nothing but the machine language or binary language. So since all of you know that one, so these are some of the steps which have been involved. So this particular figure, if you see that one, you come to know. So it is simple. You're going to have the library file. So any C program if you want, so that will be having the library file, and you are going to have the source file 1 and source file 2. Next, using the compiler, that is cross compiler. Cross compiler is nothing but what? So it is specific. You have to select that particular compiler for a specific processor or controller. So by using that one, you are going to convert to the object file. So similarly, you are going to have the source file 2. For that particular cross compiler will be there. With the help of that particular cross compiler, you are going to have the object file 2. So with the help of the linker, you are going to link all the object files. So that is object file 1 plus object file 2. So that is depend how the address has to map, and which are the necessary library files is required for that particular object file to run. So that will be linked here. Okay, so that will be linked with the library files, and to create a one new object file, which is nothing but your absolute object file, which is nothing but your absolute object file. Once you have this particular absolute object file, so the absolute object file is then converted to the exa file. So object to exa file converter is done. So once exa file is done, so whatever the exa file you are going to have, that in terms will be generating your machine code, or it will be converted to the binary file. Okay, it will be converted to the machine code or binary file. So that is how your process of converting from high level language to low level language is going to be done. So in this particular process, what has to be done is, so you have to select the specific processor or controller which you want. So it will be given by specific manufacturers, like a Kiel compiler is there. So that will be taken care. There you have to use which processor you want to have the cross platform. That is which language to which language you have to make use of that one. Okay, these things you have to make of. So now let us come to the next. What are the different advantages of high level languages based development? When you are going to have the high level language, what is the advantage? So since we are comfortable with the high level language, what will happen? So development time will be reduced. So it's going to have the reduced development time. And so you're going to have the developer independency. So developer independency is nothing but what? So most of the developer will be knowing C. Okay, C programming is known for many developer. So it is known for many developer. So whatever the code you are going to write, so that can be understood by other developer also. So it is not processor specific, right? So when you are going with the assembly language, what will happen? So if I want to write that particular program, that particular processor architecture should be known to you for the developer, and you should know the instruction set of that particular processor. After having knowing of all those things, I have to write the code for that particular assembly code. But it is not the case in your when you are writing your code in C. So here what will happen? So the developer independence is there. Okay, so that means whoever is going to have the knowledge of C programming, he can write that particular program, knowing that how that particular processor is going to work. Okay, what are the different pin configurations are there, which bit will be used for direction setting, which will be used for making my input, which will be used for setting my output. These things, basic things you should know about the architecture. That's it. So, but you should not have a complete knowledge of the instruction set. Okay. So with the help of the C, most of the people can write the program. So next is portable. Portable in the sense means what? Whatever the C program you have been written. So portable in the sense is the C program written for, so the C program for written for 8051. So the same program can be used for your ARM processor. The same program can be used for your 8085 processor. The same program can be used for 8086. Okay. So that is what your portability is going to have. So whatever the program you have written for one processor, the same program you can use it for the other processor or controller also. So only with the small modifications, because different types, different bit fields will be used for setting the input and setting the output. Those bits you should know, that's it. So if you know those bits, then it will become easy for you to learn all those things. So similarly, you are going to have advantages as well as we are going to have the disadvantages when you are using the high level language. What are these high level disadvantages you are going to have in your high level language you are going to have? So now whatever the cost compiler which is available, so with the real time word, so they are not so efficient. Okay, they are not so efficient. So the investment required for high level language based tools is very high. So whatever the investment you want to develop that particular cross platform development compiler, so that requires high investment. So that cannot be afforded by many people, because if I'm having one processor, means what, for that particular processor I should have some cross platform development tool or cross compilers I should have. Okay, so then I have to develop that one also. So that means if I want to develop that one, I have to invest for that particular developer also. The compiler developer will be there. So for that one also, I have to make use of. So that will take you more investment on that one. So that's what investment required for developing the high level language based development tools is high for a specific controller or processor. So for a specific controller or processor. Okay. So next type, which is called as missing the assembly language and the high level language. So I think most of you have known already. So how to mix your high level language with the low level language. So if you don't know that one also, we will learn now. Okay. So sometimes what will happen when you are writing your code in assembly, what will happen? So whatever the assembly code you are going to write, you are going to access the registers directly. Okay, so if you take your assembly language code, so in the assembly language code, what will happen? So you are going to have access to registers directly. So you're going to have the access to registers directly. Okay, so if you are going to have the access to registers directly, what will happen? So the performance improvement is going to happen there. So you're going to have the performance improvement. So now, if you take the certain embedded firmware development, which you are going to have, so there we have to mix some high level language with low level language. So there what happens, so some of the important routines will be there. So we have to mix some of the critical routines. So like interrupt handling will be there. So when we have to have some interrupt handling, which will be having the access directly to the hardware. So when this part of the code has to be required, so some of the interrupts has to be written in assembly code only. So when you are going to have that kind of scenario in your embedded system, we have to mix the assembly code with the C program. Now, we should know how your C program with the assembly code is going to mix. So if you have seen already, I think if anyone has seen that one, you can tell. So if you don't know also, we will see that one now. Don't worry about that one. So now when you talk about the high level language and assembly language, so basically they are mixed in three different ways. Okay, so they are going to be different, mixed in three different ways. How they are mixed? One is you are mixing assembly language and high level language. Okay. Second is mixing high level language with assembly. Then third one is inline assembly language. Okay. So let us say one by one how this particular uh, mixing of your high level language and low level language is going to be done. So first is you are going to have mixing high level assembly language with high level language. Second is mixing high level language with assembly. Third is inline assembly language. Okay. So that you are going to have here. So now, if you come across the mixing assembly language with high level language, how it will be done is the next question. So for example, if we are going to have the assembly routines which are mixed with C in situation where the entire program written in C. Okay. So don't, as I told you already that some features will be having some routines, right? So certain features like interrupts are bit routine functions which are there. So those cannot be written using C program. So this doesn't have the cross compiler which you're going to have. The cross compilers will not be having that particular support. The cross compiler will not support the interrupt service routine functions. So now, if I have to write the code in efficient way, so that means I want to run the code in such a way that I want to improve the performance of my embedded system. If you want to improve the performance of the embedded system, how I have to do? So because your assembly language is having the direct access to the processor, that means all the hardware you can be accessing using the assembly language. So now, when you are going to have that one, so it will, if the programmer wants to take the advantage of having the speed, so if the programmer wants to take the advantage of the speed and optimize the code, which is by machine code generated by and written assembly code. Okay. So in those particular situation also, you are going to have the mixing of assembly language with high level language. So now, as we have seen that mixing your assembly and C language is difficult only. Okay. So it is to be a knowledge of the developer, how the parameters are sent, what are the different parameters it has to be used, and what are the different registers has to be used. Those things has to be taken care there. Okay. So if you don't know all those things, then it will become difficult for you to write the assembly code with the C code. So we have to do, and whatever the assembly routines you are going to write, so that particular routines has to be written back to the main program. So for example, if I'm going to write the main C program, so in the C program, for example, main I'm going to write, so I'm going to have some function call will be there. In the function call, it will go to the function, right? Once it function, it is going inside this one, I'm going to write the assembly code. So once you are writing the assembly code, after the completion of this particular assembly code, how this particular code assembly code has to return to the main function, that also has to be keeping in your mind, and how to keep for parameter passing. Okay. So I should know how to pass the parameters, how to work on that particular parameters in the assembly code. Okay. So that I should have a knowledge. Okay. So then what are the values to be returned from our assembly routines to see, and our assembly routine is invoked inside the C program, and how it is going to uh, check that what type of data type you are going to have. So those things has to be taken care for. Okay, so that is what will happen in your C and assembly language. So these are some of the steps which you have to take or idea how C55 cross compiler performs the mixing of assembly language. Okay, so first we have to write the normal. So normal C program. So write a simple function in C that passes parameters. Okay. So I will write the function C, simple function in C that passes parameters and return values. And what you want your assembly routine to do. So now, as you know that all of you have the source directive. This we have discussed in the first only. So when you are going to have the source directive, so as program as source, it is going to have this particular macro at the top of the file. So wherever source directory it is going to include. So when you are going to have the source directive here, which you are going to have the C compiler, what it is going to have, it is going to generate the dot source file instead of dot obj file. So if you are using as program src in your top of the program, so if you are using at the top of the program, this is nothing but the macro. So if you specify like this, so your C compiler, what it generates the dot src file instead of obj file. Okay, so it will generate the dot src file instead of the dot obj file. So now when you compile the C file, since the source file src directory is specified, so it is going, since it is specified the src file, so the src file is generated here. The src file is generated. So once the src file generated, so the src file contains the assembly code generated for the C code you wrote. Okay, so the source file is nothing but what, when you specify that particular code as source file, so the source file generates the assembly code for that particular C code. So that is very easy in your Linux. If you are using your Linux version, Linux programming, so then there is a syntax which will convert your assembly code to C code to assembly code. Now, after generating the source file, so after generating the source file, whatever we are discussing is with respect to 8051. Okay, it is not with respect to ARM. Okay, so we are going to have the dot source file. Okay, dot source file, and I'm going to rename that one to dot A51 file. So this A51 file refers to what? That particular file belongs to 8051 microcontroller. Okay, that specifies the microcontroller. Now I have to edit the 851 file and insert the assembly code. So already C code is converted to assembly code. So now if I want to insert some of the assembly code inside that particular file, so I have to edit that particular .a51 file and you have to insert the assembly code. Okay, you want to execute in the body of the assembly functions. So now included in the A51 file. Okay, first what you need to do, I have to define inside your C program as program source. Once you define that one as that particular macro, once you compile that one, what it is going to generate, that is so that will not generate the object file, but apart from the object file, it is going to generate the dot source file. So once you generate the dot source file, it has to be converted to A51 file, which is restricted to 8051. Okay. Once you have generated for 8051, I have to edit that particular file. So edit the 8051 file, edit the .a51 file, which is the assembly code for your 8051, and inside that one, wherever the changes you require, whichever the part of the assembly code you require the changes, you make the necessary changes. Okay, and you include in that particular .851 file. So that is how the steps is going to take. So now, so the second type which you are going to have is mixing high level language with assembly code. So the mixing is the code written in high level language like C, and assembly is used for assembly externals. There is nothing but what I am going to mixing the, so here I am going to have the mixing assembly with high level language. Okay, so here it is mixing high level language with assembly. So it is source code is already available in assembly language, and the routine which are there, it is written in the high level language like C, needed to be included in the existing code. So first in this particular part, what will happen? The code will be in assembly language itself. The code which is available is assembly language. Then some of the routines you will be having. So the subroutines you are going to write using assembly code, C code. That particular C code has to be integrated with your assembly code. Okay, so it needs to be included into the existing assembly code. So now, whatever the entire code you are going to have, the entire code you are going to plan using the assembly code for various reasons. So what are the reasons we have to use it for the assembly code? For advantages, we are going to have the optimized code, we are going to have the optimized performance, and efficient code memory utilization will be there, and you have to have, and you are going to have the expertise in handling the assembly code. So if you have the strong knowledge of the assembly code, so you can work in most of the embedded software companies. Okay. So now here what will happen, but for some of the reasons, some portion of the code may be very difficult to code in assembly language. Okay. So for some part of the code, I feel that it is difficult to write in assembly code because I don't have that much coding skill and I cannot write that one in assembly code. So when you are going to have that one, so if you're doing with the 16-bit multiplication and division in 8051 assembly language, for example, they are telling. So it means what? So if you want, whenever you want to do the complex operations, so whenever the complex operations has to be done, so then that particular operation as will be written in C programming. Okay, simple operation I am going to do it in assembly language. But whenever I want to have to do the complex operations will be difficult to do by a programmer. So those particular part of the code will be written in C. So this is difficult example they are giving. That's it. That is 16-bit multiplication and division in a 8051 assembly code. But that is not the complex part. So apart from this, there are many complex part which will be coming there. That you have to take care and you have to write it. So next, if you want to include built-in library functions written in C, provided by the, you have to include built-in library functions like as we have seen that in your ARM. So if you're going to have the library that is LPC 214x.h. So this is the material library which includes the functions definition which are written in your ARM program. Similarly, here also in 8051 also it is going to make use of the library functions. So library function is nothing but what? So you're going to have the printf, scanf in your C program, right? So these are nothing but the library functions. So these are nothing but the library functions. To have this particular library functions, you should have #include stdio.h. So here the definition will be there. So you are going to define, you are going to do the declaration inside in the main program. So you are going to do the declaration in the main program. So that's how it is going to be done. So the next is inline assembly, the last part. So here the inline assembly is another technique for inserting target processor specific assembly language instruction at any location of the source code written in I11 language. So it is what? So you're going to have the C program. So inside the C program, I have to write the assembly code. So inside C program, assembly code will be written. Code is written. Okay, that's what you are going to have. So that you can use it using Turbo C only. This particular program you can write it using Turbo C only. So if you have Turbo C in your home, you can execute this particular program. So that is not you should not want to have key comparator should be there to run this particular program. Okay. So now in this particular program, so what will happen? So your inline assembly code, it is going to insert the processor specific assembly instructions at any location of the source code, which is written in C program. Okay. So if source code is available in C program, so inside that particular C program, I have to insert the assembly code. So what it is going to have the advantage? So it is going to have the advantage of avoiding the delay in calling an assembly routine from the C code. So it is going to have the delay in calling the assembly load. In the first example, what we have taken, so in the first second, we are going to call the function. So with the inside the function, I'm going to write the C code, but it is not the case here. In the C program itself, I'm not going to write the function. I'm going to insert the assembly code itself inside the C program directly. So if you are inserting directly the C program inside the function itself, what it is going to reduce? Obviously, it is going to reduce the calling the delay. So that means you have to call and the return has to be there, right? So calling a function requires the address. Returning, it has to return to where it has to return to. So it requires some address. So that means it is nothing but what? It is similar to you're working in one classroom. So some other work has to be done in another class. So whether it will require the same time? No. So first what I have to do? First, if I want to get that particular task done, next I have to go to that particular room. I have to execute that particular room. After executing it, I have to bring back that particular work contents to your room where you have been sitting properly. Earlier you are sitting, right? So it is like that. So you are moving to that room and coming back from that room to this room is going to consume the time. So your time will not there. So that is what your delay in calling the assembly routine is going to tell you. So this is what, so it will consume the time. So to avoid that particular time, so to avoid that time consumption, we are going to write that one in your same C code. Okay. So you are going to have the special keywords for this one to indicate that where you have to start, where you have to end. Okay. So end of the assembly code. So if you are using the C51, so C51 uses the keyword dash pragma ASM and dash pragma end ASM to insert the code. So to start and to end the assembly code. So this is mainly used to start and end the assembly code. So where you are going to insert your assembly code. So whenever you want to start with the assembly code, you have to make use of pragma ASM. Whenever you want to end the pragma, that is assembly code, so that you have to, there you have to specify pragma end ASM. So if you talk with the difference of your C versus embedded C, so your C is a well structured, well defined and standardized general purpose programming language. So it is going to support you the extensive bit operations. We are going to have the bitwise operator, right? So that for the but particular reason we are going to make use of the C. So if you take up the C, so your C going to combines the features of high level language and assembly. And if you are going to make use of the assembly language, so it is going to have the help of accessing the hardware directly. Okay. So if you take the conventional C programming, the conventional C programming is going to, so conventional C programming is going to follow the ANSI standard. Okay, and it incorporates various variables for different operating system. So you have to keep in your mind that whatever the C program you're written in for your like your editor which you have used, like for GCC compiler it will be different, for Turbo C it will be different. Okay, some of the header files which are going to have, whichever we are going to have use it in for GCC compiler, it won't be supported by your Turbo C compiler. Okay, that some of the header files are specific to that particular compiler only. So whenever if you want to run the C programming, so you're going to have different compilers for that one. C compiler is there, Turbo C compiler is there. Okay, so depending upon the type of the compiler, that particular hybrid library files only you have to use. So if you take for example Turbo C, so in the Turbo C simple example I'm going to tell. So you are going to have the option of clear screen, but it is not there in your GCC compiler. So that particular clear screen itself is not there. This particular function itself is not there in your GCC itself. That you can see that if you are writing in the code in your assembly Linux platform, then you come to know that what are the differences. So you should learn all these things when you want to learn the coding practice. So if you talk about the platform specific application, okay, so that is operating system specifications. Compiler is used for conversion of programs written in C to target processor on which the binary OS is running. So since it is done with respect to the compiler, that is platform dependent specific development. Okay, you are going to have. So if we take over the embedded C, so it is embedded C is nothing but the subset of your conventional C language, where it is going to incorporate the specific to the specific processor, and you are going to have is noted that. So if we take the ANSI C library implementations, so it is going to have the target processor library files. So you're going to have the target processor library files, like while target specific library files are nothing but what? So like your ash include LPC 214x.h. So that is nothing but what? This is target. This is the processor specific library files. This is nothing but the processor specific library file, which will be used for your ARM processor. Similarly, for if you take the other processor, that particular processor will be having the different header file, where you are going to have the different declarations will be there, right? So that's why you are going to have the cross compiler to be written. It has to support the particular embedded C language. So if we talk about the difference between your C and embedded C, so C is a general purpose programming language. Your embedded C is the extension of C language, which will use to develop microcontroller based application. Whereas if you are using the normal C program, you can use it for build any type of desktop based application. So your C programming which you are written in your for your normal ANSI C, that will be hardware independent, whereas your embedded C program is a hardware dependent. So your C language, if you take it, will make use of the standard compilers to compile and execute a program. So if we talk about the embedded C, it requires a specific compiler to compile for that particular processor specific, and it has to able to generate the particular hardware based output, right? So you are going to have that one. So here the readability in C programming, readability, modification, and bug fixing are varies in the C language. Whereas if we talk about the embedded C, so readability, modification, bug fixing are not easy in embedded C language program. So these are some of the differences between your C and embedded C. Okay, so when you talk about the compiler versus cross compiler, so if we talk about the compiler is nothing but the tool which will convert the high level language to low level language. So if we talk about the compiler is nothing but which will convert the high level language to low level language. So, and it will be running on top of any of the particular operating system. So of a particular operating system, it is going to run on specific target processor architecture. So it may be a Intel 86 processor, or it may be a Motorola processor. So that will be depending on type of the processor which you are going to make use of. So now in the operating system, what will happen? So the compiler program in the application making use of the source code runs on the same target processor. So in the compiler, what will happen? The compiler which you are going to run and the applications which you are building using that particular source code, that will be running on the same processor. That means if you take the normal Intel processor, that will be running in same Intel processor only. So now first is in your cross compiler, what will happen? First, the source code has to be converted to the target specific machine, and the development is platform specific. Okay, in your cross compiler. So the development which you are going to have, it is a cross compilers. Okay, so if we talk about it is platform specific, it is in cross compiler. That's the difference between your compiler and cross compiler. Compiler is normal, whereas cross compiler is specific to one particular processor. So if we talk about the compilers are generally called as native compilers. They are generally called as the native compilers. So what do you mean by native compiler? A native compiler is nothing but which generates the machine code for the same machine on which it is running. Native, as the name tells, it is native. So when it is native, it is going to generate the machine code for that particular processor only. So generate machine code to that processor itself. So whereas in your cross compiler, what will happen? It will generate the machine code for the target processor which you want to port. So that means I'm writing the code in Intel processor only. By using the kill compiler, I'm going to select some of the processor cross compiler platform. By using the cross compiler platform, so I want to convert your high level language to low level language to suit to that particular processor or controller. So if I want to write a binary file for generate a binary file for your 8051, I'm going to make use of the cross compiler which is suited for your 8051. So that's what it tells. Okay. So cross compilers are nothing but tools used in cross platform development. So that our compiler running on the target processor OS converts the source code to machine code for a target processor. That we have known that one. The same thing what I have explained now. So that completes your module 4 now. So just a simple example I'm going to show you how to include your C code with assembly code. So if we talk about the C with assembly, so only thing we have to change is, so it is, if you write in your turbo C, so it will be int main. Okay, so normally if you have int A and B, so if you want A is equal to B is equal to 20, I'm going to do, so I'm going to add it. So underscore ASM, you have to specify. So this will be the beginning of assembly code. So this will be the beginning of assembly code inside your C code. Okay, that you can run it using your normal C compiler only. So once you have this particular underscore assembly, you can write the code here. Okay, so you can have move. So whatever the variable is there, I can move it to some register B, A and B, and move the container register will be there. Some of the registers will be there. You can move to that particular register R1 and R2. So R2 to B, then add R1 and R. So R0, R1, R2. So next I'm going to store it in C. So then again move the result which is stored into C. Then you can combine it. So then you can again write printf value of C is %d C. So what it tells is it will calculate the add. So that is directly manipulating in the register directly. You are moving the value A into register R1, for example. You are moving the value of B into R2 directly, and you are adding the contents of R1 and R2, and you are storing it in R0. And whatever the result you are going to get, that is which is stored in R0, it will be moved to C. Finally, you are displaying using the C statement. That is what is the value of C here. Okay. So that's how your C programming is inserted inside your assembly code is inserted inside your C code. Okay. So that completes your module 4. So the next we'll start with your module 5. So anybody having any questions, you can ask. If you have any questions, you can ask. Anybody having any question?
Suresh,